Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? We're using something different. I'm at John's, of course. His Logitech camera.
I don't know why I didn't do that years ago.
Yeah, we're using it for a movie review. People want to see us both on screen at the same time. Well, some people. That might drive some people away, you know. Yeah, I know. And we're here to review Survival of the Film Freaks. And it's about the documentary.
I read it.
I read it. What, read it, sir? Oh, yeah, you like the stuff. I got my likes, too, yeah. That's Rita's birthday. Well, we're filming on Rita's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Rita, even though it probably won't go out on the day of her birthday. There's a documentary about cult cinema. Usually
What's called?
Survival of the Film Freaks.
Oh, right.
And there's interviews with Lloyd Kaufman, Chris Gore.
Dude that runs
Screen
Factory. Bunch of people.
Luigi Ocuzzi, who directed one of my favorite movies, Alien Contamination. They call it Contamination now, but I always in my heart call it Alien Contamination, old Grindhouse title. Just like I always call it Dr. Butcher MD. I don't call it Zombie Holocaust. They call it Dr. Butcher MD. That's a Grindhouse title. And they talk about the evolution of cult films. There's always been bizarre films from like the 20s on, and they mentioned Cabin of Dr. Caligari and the old Silent Days and stuff. And there was ones like Reefer Bandits and stuff. They don't really delve into the old stuff. They
they were more looking at like the evolution from like 68, 69, the 70s, mostly how watching the grindhouse movies at like the theaters, like was it
42nd Street, which I've never been to.
Yeah, we've never been old enough to be able to go there.
Yeah, I know.
Back in the heyday, and then to nowadays with watching stuff online, and the differences between then and now, the good and the bad, and how each medium, going from like the film to VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, Blu-ray, and online, has affected the grindhouse films as well. Yeah, and again, both the good and the bad. It's kind of fascinating to listen to.
I really loved it, and then like I said, they talk about the media outlets. They talk. I mean, it all comes full circle from the theaters. And like I said, 42nd Street, I think Rudy Giuliani, I think, cleaned up 42nd Street. So, right. I mean, it's not like they're in Times Square, so it's not like it used to be.
So family friendly now.
Family friendly. And, they talk about, the movie, the theaters and stuff showing like Texas Chainsaw, El Topo, the bizarre film like Holy Mountain. They mentioned Holy Mountain some. And then they talk about VHS and, also Laserdisc. Because I had the old school Laserdisc in the plastic containers, which had great artwork from RCA. That was the first experience of my home video experience, because Dad bought it at like $107 at Mace Electronics. And the only place you can rent those Mace Electronics. It broke down twice in 14 days. Dad took it back. He said, I don't like it. And the guy said it was just junk, so he took it back. And Dad didn't want to pay the extra $30 for VCR. And he did. Good thing, because like a week later, they got rid of all their video discs that they had. And they were like an E-disc. That's the one that RCA spent like $50 million perfecting technology for. And then when they finally did it, it was all outdated and they went out of business. And then they talk about the VCR, and it was weird because they show Creepers from Media Home Entertainment in the credits, and Creepers was Argento film, but it was the one that was and really known as Phenomenon. It was cut down to 82 minutes, and it's like a 2-hour movie, and they really did a butcher job on that. And they didn't mention about Phenomenon being through Anchor Bay. They mentioned that old VCR, or maybe just peel the cover. I don't know. They talk about that. They talk about Laserdiscs, where they used to be $100 a piece. Because I remember in Germany they were selling those too, and they were so expensive. I know one person that had video disc player. I know one guy had a Betamax. I know Gary had Betamax, but Betamax went the way of the Dodo Bird or whatever it was, you know, and they had Betamax at the library in Germany and stuff like that. And then they talk about the VCR finally, you know, losing popularity, then DVDs coming up. And then from DVDs, and then they talk about downloading BitTorrents, like through Pirate Bay and stuff like that, through the internet. And that was like I mean, they said that you wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't steal a handbag, you wouldn't steal a movie or something like that. I remember those commercials and stuff before, a lot of videos. And they wouldn't let you fast forward those either. I mean, and then it goes from there to streaming services, which is really cool. And they talk about, like, these companies are reviving these movies. They're talking about people trying to make cult films, like, they didn't mention Wild Eye releasing, but like Ouija Shark and, you know, and stuff like that through stuff like Sharknado.
I think Water made a good point. You got to be careful about setting out to make a purposely bad movie, because then it's just going to end up being crap.
Yeah.
And that's what some people got to, be careful about, because you know, a lot of those movies weren't set out to be crap, but they end up being crap, but fun crap.
Yeah.
So you run the risk if you're trying to make a movie, oh yeah, like the one guy saying, oh, we're gonna that's okay, it sucks, it's supposed to suck. Well, it might just end up sucking and not have any merit. It might not be a fun, crappy movie.
Like Zombie Shark. Zombie Shark was terrible.
Now, like they talked about, and there's something they missed I just thought of while you were talking.
Yeah.
You know, the guy was saying, hey, if you find like a movie house, like Erie movie house, where they show like a lot of these movies, you should go out and support it. Now, they didn't touch upon, and maybe I don't know, you know, where these people were from that made the movie, so maybe it wasn't around their neighborhood. Now, back in the 90s, I believe it was, in our region. Now, I never went to one, but he had like some type of movie houses. There might have been two of them in Erie, where you go with a small group of people and watch a VHS tape in a room. Now, I never did that. Did you know about that?
I knew about that in 5th grade. I mean, that one company, I can't remember the one store.
Was it 5th? All the way back to 5th grade?
I think 5th, 6th grade. I mean, like...
Because I remember stuff in the 90s, because Phil, I worked with, who's passed away now, talked about that in the 90s.
Well, they talked
used to do that in the...
They used to have this one place that used to screen movies for $5. You go for back and screen a movie, like Toolbox Murders or Human Experiments.
Okay, so like they never touched on any of that stuff. So I couldn't remember. I mean, I remember people about that night. But I can't remember a long time ago.
I never been there or something like that. And
so you know, and I don't know if they did that around the nation or there's different places where you could go sit and watch. Because they were talking about, oh yeah, you should support that. It's like, well, it's funny because, you know, I remember Phil talking about that in the 90s, unless he's talking about when we were younger, but I don't remember hearing about that when we were younger. But I'm old and forgetful. So, you know, there was places like that. I think in the 90s, that there's a couple places in Erie where you could go in and watch it still in the 90s, but you know, they faded. I never got around to seeing it. A couple people I worked with talked about going.
Well, I remember. I mean, they used to have ads in the paper for that. I think that place wasn't allowed to do the screenings anymore back in the 80s and stuff like that. I can't remember the name of some video place in Fairview, Erie, or something like that. You know, I never went there. But the kids used to talk about that, or it was cool. You go there and screen a movie for $5 with your friends or whatever. And they're talking about like purposely making a bad movie. Like Tom Wiseau thought he was making like the next American Love Story.
Yeah, and that's what they're saying now. The problem with him is now he's trying to make a new one purposely bad. Yeah. And they said, no, you can't do that because it's going to be. It sounds like it's just turning out to be just bad. Yeah. And not enjoyable, but bad. Now I still haven't watched The Room. I haven't gotten around to it. So I was getting confused there for a while because there's that one that, you know, I was confused because they're saying, oh yeah, this Room is really, really good. I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to watch that. Well, that was the Brie Larson one. Then there's Tommy Wiseau. That everyone says, no, The Room is really shitty. I'm like, wait, is it a good movie or a shitty movie? I didn't realize there was two different movies.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. I was all confused about what's going on. Is it a good movie or is it a really shitty movie? Which is it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I haven't watched either of them yet. You know, sometime I'll get around to watching both of them.
Oh yeah, and the disaster. I followed up with the disaster, which is fine. I mean,
Right.
He spent like $6 million. I don't know where he got the money from. He never said. I think he spent like $6 million or something like that on the movie. It doesn't look it, but it's just very bizarre. It looks like something on Cinemax, but then it's weird. Like, what are you chicken? And it's like cheap, 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 cheap. I mean, it's very bizarre, but it's really funny. I mean, it's sad towards the end, but I mean, but it's really a good movie. But silly. I mean, people try to do care as hell about the killer. But I mean, that worked because it was clever and, they took some time and made it funny and stuff. Now they're doing like Ouija or weird stuff like that. But I enjoy it. I search out good trash anyways. But they said, like, Roger Ebert used that thing like, you can't appreciate good cinema if you can't appreciate good trash or something like that. He used that quote too.
Yeah. I forget who he said in the film that was from.
Yeah, Pauline Kael. Yeah, Pauline Kael. I mean, because he was talking about, like, Richard, not Richard Groiper. Richard, the Richard guy that was on with Roger Ebert, because he was down. Richard
Roper.
Richard Roper, not Richard Groiper. Richard Roper was, I think he was down playing Jackass or something like that. I can't remember the one movie that they were saying was pretty. But I mean, he didn't have anything to do with this. Also, Lloyd Kaufman was in this, and Chris Score from Film Threat magazine. It's really a fascinating movie. Guys talking about movies and girls, and it's wonderful. I mean, they mention a lot of really good movies and stuff. Some stuff they didn't go in detail and stuff like that, but I thought it was very fascinating. And then it goes full circle to going back to the theater and seeing these movies. But now, with the way things are, the movie was made in 2018. I don't know if people want to go. I mean, I guess streaming services is a way to go for a while.
Well, everything's moving to streaming.
Yeah.
Not just movies, but TV. I predicted, like, by the time I retire from the TV business, you're not going to have networks and local stations. All that shit's going to be gone. And the company I work for, they're kind of moving that way because not very effectively, but they're playing on. That's why it's like a lot of the stations are run out of different cities. Like our station is run out of a place in Massachusetts, and their directive is we're a internet-based company that happens to own TV stations.
Oh wow!
Because they do look at, like, I'm looking at my sister's kids, and they're looking at stuff online all the time, and that's the way it's going to move. They're not going to want to sit down and watch a half-hour newscast. All that stuff's just going to be posted stories. So, you're not going to have someone like me come and sit down and running the newscast. It's all going to change. You're going to be charged, instead of watching on ABC something, you're going to probably just go to ABC's website or Disney's website, and you're going to probably pay per episode, or they'll have commercials, depending on which format. Because that's another way. You don't have to pay. You could just, like there's a lot of stuff on, what's that device? Roku. Where there's a lot of channels where you pay to watch stuff, or you just watch something that's free, but there's a lot of commercials. So I think that's the way everything's heading. Of course, some people say, well, they're going to bring back this and that. Well, really? I mean, sure, there might be some. I mean, movie theaters still be around, but you don't see one building new drive-ins.
Yeah,
now would be the time.
Drive would be great.
With pandemic going on, you don't. I don't know if there's anyone building movie palaces anymore. Those have gone by the wayside. Yeah. There was a company a few years ago that was restoring them. I don't know how successful they were or how many they did, but although I think movie theaters will probably always be around, a lot of stuff's going to fall by the wayside as the internet speeds up and it's more accessible to the rural areas and stuff. It's going to just change the whole paradigm. And Hollywood, I think someone pointed out, like when we were talking about Napster, it's like Hollywood was slow to adapting that. They should have seen, okay, here's the internet, here's how we need to evolve. And even Will Wheaton from Star Trek Next Generation, Stand By Me, he talked about this years ago, about it's like you need to shift how they do things. Now, of course, these guys are saying people still want still want physical copies, but Disney, they're going away from digital. I mean, not digital. You can see digital. They're going away from physical copies. You're only going to get stuff digitally from Disney going forward. I don't know when that starts or if it started. You're not going to be able to go buy Blu-ray or DVD or anything. it's all going to be digital only. And for good or bad, for them it's cheaper. They don't have to produce this disc, and so stuff's come down, so it's really cheap.
Yeah.
But you still have to mass produce discs, mass produce the cases and the cover and all that stuff. So they can save costs that way, and that's probably what a lot of people are going to be doing. So it is slowly shifting away.
Yeah. I mean, heaven forbid Disney lose money.
Right.
But no, I mean, it's. And I tell you what, a lot of my discovery of these unusual films was from Amazon, these unusual documentaries. I didn't know they made one about the Metal Band Death, The Mentors. I knew about Hate of the G.G. Allen movie. That's from the guy that ended up doing Hangover. That was a long time ago. Rigor Mortis had like a part 1, and it was like 2 hours, and it ended right when they got their record deal. I would love to see a part 2. I don't know if there will be a part 2. There was a documentary about movie violence. A lot of these documentaries are interviewed with people. Dave, my buddy Dave was in one. I'm going to see if I can. He's trying to get Queenie in one. I see if I can get involved in, to at least send a video in that might be for consideration or whatever. Because we both have film on and stuff like that. I think we're the next Joe Bob Briggs. I think for or obscure films. I mean, but
not me. But you're right. Though it's like with streaming, I need to touch up on that. It's great because you can find a lot of this stuff, or even like YouTube. They say, like the guy from Screen Factory. On one hand, it's like, why the hell is this on here? Who did have this take down? On the other hand, it helps, especially when you get this stuff that because there's a lot of stuff, and I've read articles on this where like. Even with the advent of DVD, there's a lot of stuff on VHS because so much was produced because of the golden era of writing movies and stuff that never ever have made a DVD and never will. But if or like you said, it could be because of licensing fees and stuff. So you might have people that will take their copies of VHS and copy them and put them on YouTube and stuff. So at least it's not completely lost to history. On how unfortunately stuff gets lost over time. Especially back in the day where they just threw that shit out like film. What are we going to do with this? Oh, we need a space. Let's just toss it out. Because they had no idea of home markets back in certain days. Same thing with VHS. Like a lot of shows, like I think like Doctor Who. That's been around since the 60s or something like that. And there's some stuff that got lost. Some of it was back in those days. They just taped over stuff. Well, they just re-record over it because they didn't think of showing them 50 years down the road, rebroadcasting the old stuff on TV or home markets, all that stuff that was beyond. So a lot of stuff just got taped over on TV.
Well, I know with the Albion tornado, the news and stuff like that, they were showing archival footage from YouTube and stuff like that. Even with my Uncle Ed, as head of he was on there. I never saw that thing because we didn't have any power. We lived far away. It's real weird what happened, but that was a long time ago. But I mean, that was like through YouTube and stuff like that. I mean, heaven forbid we lose YouTube, But I mean, it's just a fascinating movie. I really enjoyed it. I give it a 10 out of 10. It was really interesting. Lord Cock was on it. And there was some funny bits in there. And there's like stuff all throughout the end. And then Chris Gore talked about people using the bathroom. Saying Tom Hanks likes using the bathroom. And I mean, it's just like I watched it 24. Jack Bauer never used the bathroom. I was like, they got to do all this stuff. I was like, oh my God, I got to take a crap. That'd be me.
Well, it's like video games. They don't usually do that. But I think there was one my buddy at work was talking about where they did something like that. Just like there's, I think it was a Fable series I never played, where they were making fun of like how in video games, when you kill a monster or a bad guy, it's just like really random treasure that doesn't make sense to. Okay, I killed a troll, and he's got this magical sword. Why would a troll have a magical sword? So I think Fable, or I think it was making fun of shit like that.
No,
anyways, getting sidetracked again.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I thought it was a fascinating documentary. I give it a 10 out of 10.
It's definitely worth
people like us talk about movies and stuff, and they have great knowledge. I mean, and they were talking about different people that bring out these movies. I heard Vinegar. So I mean, because I know they released a couple of Herschel and Lewis is hard. I'm surprised they didn't. Well, they passed away. I think Dave Friedman did too. I'm surprised they didn't mention Herschel and Lewis stuff. But they brought like 3 of his rare movies, like what a Black Love, Abilene and Lyndon Abilene, the Lesbo Western, and oh god, some other one. I can't remember. Another 3-pack. I've never seen those ones. There was a guy that used to put up Herschel and Lewis movies. And I should have watched. I was watching some. I mean, I wanted to watch them on the big screen. And then Dad was fighting it, and then it's just I didn't see as many as I should have. And then the guy got taken off of YouTube and stuff. And then he came back and put a couple more up there. But I mean, it would have been cool to review some more of the Herschel and Lewis stuff. But oh, I did see Magical Land on Mother Goose. Unfortunately, that's probably one of his worst ones. It's like a high school play. It was terrible, but it was funny though. I give it a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. So I guess that's it. I mean, using the new format, both of us are on film. It's like low budget Siskel and Ebert. And until next time, everybody, please take care of my lead guys. I mean, after all these years, still talking about Siskel and Ebert. But we like horror films. Take care, everybody.